I'm Ellie Clare from CLP Advertising and Photography Services. I'm the owner, and I'm about to be on the Online Prosperity Show with Prosper. And we're going to be talking about my life's journey, the lessons I've learned from what I went through, and how you can use it to improve your own life.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, your go-to destination for entrepreneurs and small business owners seeking authentic, actionable insights to elevate their ventures. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today our guest is Ellie. Now, Ellie, how are you doing today?
I'm well, Prosper. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful day.
Absolutely. Well, we can't actually start this show before saying hi to the boss himself. Now, Monty, woof, woof.
Monty.
All right.
You'll come and say hello now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ellie, for being on the show today. Now, for those that are watching right now, today we're going to dive into a narrative that actually epitomizes resilience, transformation, and the power of storytelling. And our guest, as we have already introduced her, Ellie Clare, is the founder of CLP Advertising and Photography Services, and her journey from the rugged terrains of agriculture and mining to then the dynamic world of digital marketing, and also a new twist and a surprise she's going to be telling us a little bit later about is nothing short of an aspiring. As you're going to hear from her journey, she had a life-altering accident and she found herself at a crossroads with all that she had sort of worked at and for. And with all that determination and a camera in hand, she actually then started on a mission to help small businesses shine online. So her story is a testament to the human spirit, especially the capacity to adapt and thrive. No matter what is thrown at us, we will come out, victorious there. So I encourage you to grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and prepare to be inspired, because this episode just promises insights that could actually redefine your approach to business and life. Now, Ellie, I could go on and talk about things that I'm not even qualified to talk about. Now, your journey started off in agriculture and mining. Tell us a little bit about what that entailed and what you were doing in those industries.
So I'm actually from a small town. Many people know it as a wine town, which is known as Margaret River. I grew up there. I did live in Tassie in between times, but when I came back, I decided to work locally in and around the area, which Margaret River is known for its agriculture and its surfing. So I went back into working jobs around town I worked at a chicken farm, I worked on milk farms, worked in sheep farming, I did a little bit of everything. And at the time, you weren't really able to make a lot of money. So I also went mining and I would work my week off on the farm. But when I was obviously in mining, I had a freak accident. I tripped down a flight of stairs and ended up landing on my knees at the bottom of the stairs and hyperflexed my back, which crushed my L4-5 and S1, giving me a crush injury. Now, I reported that injury straight away, did all the right things, but I was on a very remote island at the time, so I wasn't flown out or given treatment as I should have probably been. I was given exercises which turned out to give me worse damage to my back. So I worked for 9 days after I was actually injured. And yeah, let's just say it wasn't the best time of life at that point. So yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for taking us through that. Now, being brought around Margaret River, does that make you a wine fiend, or is that not even part of the question?
No, I've never drunk wine. I did used to drink up until I was 23, but I had health issues with my liver. So the doctor said I needed to give up alcohol and a few other things to help my body recover. So I actually haven't really I've had a drink here and there, like my sister's birthday, I usually have a drink with her, but other than that, I don't drink at all.
Absolutely. I thought maybe you were actually one of those snob wine connoisseurs, that have to wait until the red has...
Neither of my parents drank either. So not when I was around. They drank when I was young, when my sister was young, but not me. But yeah, never really got into wine. It never tasted right for me.
Absolutely. And in the mining sort of industry, what minerals were you looking after?
I'm actually, because of an NDA, I'm not allowed to mention the business and all of that. But yeah, I was on a remote island, Northern Australia area, and it was gas mining.
Absolutely. Fantastic. And thank you so much for letting us know all of that. Now, with you sustained this injury, and obviously had you probably been in a different location, the treatment would have been different, and obviously the response would have been completely different. Now, with this 9 days after injury that you worked, did this leave any sort of permanent damage to yourself, or?
It certainly didn't help. I was put onto light duty, so I wasn't physically pushing myself or anything like that. I was on my feet all day and I was bending, lifting, but not anything heavy. But it was basically I wasn't getting the right treatment. It was actually the exercises that I was doing, which I was given by on-site doctors and rehabilitation people, and they had me doing things like bending down and touching my toes to stretch my back, but I'd had a crush injury. So that was actually causing more damage and more pain, to the point where by the end of the 9 days, I had actually completely lost feeling throughout parts of the day in my right leg. My toes were constantly numb. So the crush injury had actually just restricted things. And I kept saying this to the doctors and they're like, it's just soft tissue damage. It's just soft tissue damage. I'm like, no. I know my body, I know something was wrong, but they wouldn't listen. And it wasn't until I finally flew home, and the flight home is the next level of extraordinary pain. Like the pressure of taking off on it with a broken back, I still feel now like it still gives me the shivers of how painful that actually was. But it wasn't until I got back to Perth and went and saw a doctor, and they did a scan and they said to me, you've got a crush injury. So I was very lucky to walk away from the whole thing with no long-term permanent damage, but the recovery to fix the damage was a long time and a lot of mental effort, which is where the story sort of gets a little bit dark, is the mental side of it all.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, when arrived in Perth, you would have sought medical attention and things of that nature. Now, could you maybe walk us through that road to recovery for you, and
yeah,
what experience that was for you?
Yeah, I had a scan, and that's when the results came back, and they said, look, you've got a crush injury, L45 and S1. And then they referred me to a specialist. Now, at this point, I was not actually supposed to see anyone but the operations referred providers. This is all part of the M.E.D.I.A, so I can't go deep into it. But yeah, so I had to see their doctors essentially, and they weren't giving me the right information. So I went and sought like my own information and results, and then hired a lawyer to fight back at them, because obviously it's I just knew deep down if I kept doing it their way, I was going to end up paralyzed, or I was going to end up with a very, very serious long-term life debilitating injury. So yeah, it was about fighting for myself, essentially, going through that. I would never want to go through it again. I would never wish it on anyone. Workers' comp and all of that sort of stuff, it is a minefield, and it is really damaging to your health, because you're fighting corporation and things like that who have millions of dollars to fight these things. And I'm just a small town country girl who, you know, fell down a flight of stairs. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, you went on and sought a second opinion, and you then also jumped on to, you know, your own legal arm to really look into this, because obviously, yes, you would have deserved some sort of compensation. Now, was this an easy endeavor to deal with, especially were you in a position then to fund or foot any of these bills yourself?
I was still technically employed. I was on workers' comp for quite a while, at least a couple of years. I actually don't remember exactly how long it was, but so I was still employed, and I was still being flown up to another site. I couldn't go to the remote site anymore because of the injury, but they put me on another site on light duties, which was still a physical job, but not as demanding as my previous job. And yeah, it definitely is not easy. It's not, I honestly would put it out to people to really look after yourself, especially on the mines, because they're not going to look after you. You're just a number. And the damage it did to my psyche, I'm still dealing with today. Like, I'm still seeing a therapist, and I'm still trying to find that worth within me to know that I'm not just a number. I deserve to get better treatment than I got, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, what you're referring to is some sort of post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, is this PTSD, you may choose to answer this or not, being caused by the actual injury itself, or the treatment of you having thought you're doing some good to aid whatever the company was producing?
Yeah, I do believe a lot of it was more mental. The injury itself, once I got my own opinions and got the right help and saw the right specialists, 3 months, and I was almost not pain free, but I was, you know, I was booking to go to Africa to go hiking, you know, something like that. So I do think a lot of it was more mental. It was the mental manipulation of being told I have to see their doctors, and I have to do this, and I have to do that. And I had to do their exercises, follow their program, but it wasn't the right thing to do for my injury at the time. So yeah, the mental overload and the fear inside me, because I'm a very, I don't want to say naive. I guess I was naive back then. I just believed people, whereas now I question things, if that makes sense. So I guess that's something I've learned from the whole process, was learning to trust my instincts and go, no, this isn't right. This is what it needs. You know, this is what I need. Yeah, does that make sense?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for taking us there, because now that obviously you've mentioned this did you, I mean, obviously what you were going through is all bureaucratic and it involves suits and things of that nature. Do you also have support, especially the people that were maybe around you to maybe help you throughout all of this as you were navigating this?
I had support, but with the mental state I was in, I pushed everyone away. So friends and family, everything I talked about was really negative and people didn't want to be around me. And I even had friends go, your life is too hard. Like, I don't want to be a part of this. There was a few people, obviously my family, as much as I pushed and pushed hard on them, they were always there and still are. A couple of friends, I've got friends in Tassie who have been with me the whole time. You know, they call, check in, and I do the same for them when things are hard for them. But 90% of it was on my own, but that's my own doing. I pushed people away. But the biggest change for me was the day I got this one. Everything I did was to give him the better life, if that makes sense. I pushed myself to go walking more every day when it was so painful to do so because he needed to be walked. So Monty was the biggest turning point for me to get myself right in the mind. Physically, I could do it. Physically, I was able to push through the pain as much as it was bad. But it was the getting the mind to the point where I could go, right, I can keep pushing. I don't want to give up. I did in 2015, I think, 2004, late 2014. I did attempt suicide. Just the lawsuit and the debt I had accumulated, and I'd lost all of my friends. I had pushed everyone away. It was all my own doing, but it was just that frame of mind that I was in, that I wasn't worthy to live because of what had happened. I was a shell of the person that I wanted to be, if that makes sense. Sorry. I was hoping I wouldn't get emotional.
Thanks, Ellie. It's okay. Now, and I really appreciate this. Does Monty,
yeah, sorry.
Does Monty know?
Monty was there when it happened. He crawled into my lap. I was driving down Caves Road in Margaret River, which is a really windy, steep section of road where I lived. A lot of deaths on that road every year. And I was in my Hilux, which I'm quite well known for, was quite well known for. That car was well known around the area. But yeah, I was just driving and I just decided I was going to put my foot down and go head first down the cliff into a tree. I just was done. I couldn't take any more. And he was only very young. He was, would have been just 2, not even 2 years old. And he crawled into my lap. He was still quite small at the time. He crawled into my lap I was holding onto the steering wheel, and he crawled in and looked up at me, just looked straight into my eyes. And I just felt, it's like I heard him go, "It's okay, Mum. It's going to be okay." And I slammed on the brakes, and I was so lucky I had my Hilux at the time because I hit the gravel on one side and span the car out and ended up in the gravel on the other side. And it was right before a big drop off on Caves Road, and I narrowly missed the tree, which I was aiming for. But I just sat in that car park on the side of the road looking at him going, he's just saved my life. And everything I do now is for him, is to thank him for that. Yeah. I don't ever want anyone else to get to that point where they feel like they don't have anyone. And like I said, it was my own doing. I did that to myself because I didn't think I was worthy of having the love that people were trying to give me because of what had happened. Anyway.
It's okay. Now, I mean, obviously, you had to get out of that gravel ditch somehow. Did you call anyone, or how did you pull yourself out of that?
I actually don't remember that day. After that moment, I don't remember what had happened. I think I just drove home and laid in bed cuddling Monty, and the next day I got up and took him for a walk, and I just made that conscious effort every day to take one step further. I know it was the next day I went to the doctor and I said, look, I'm having suicidal thoughts. I wanted to die yesterday and I don't want this to happen. I want help. And the doctor put me on to a psychologist and a counsellor. And that's when I started talking to someone about what had happened and how I was feeling about it. And that counsellor I'd never really talked to anyone about that sort of stuff before. Like in my family, it was you don't talk about your mental state. You don't do any of that stuff because it's not how it's done. But that act of just talking about it, that relief that you get from talking about what you're going through and how you're feeling and all of that, it seems so minor, but it makes a massive difference. A massive difference.
Fantastic. Now, does Monty get special treatment at birthdays, or does he get a big steak at night at dinner time, or what's the treat situation there for Monty?
Yeah. So Monty, believe it or not, I feed him meat. He eats kangaroo, but he is a vegetarian dog. He would eat a carrot over a steak any day. If I say the word carrot, he's asleep. Normally he'd be like, oh, yes, please. So, I always have bits of fruit and veggies lying around to give him a treat. And but on his birthday every year, he does get a soft serve ice cream from Macca's. So,
yes.
Yeah, he's never allowed it any other time of the year, but that's his birthday treat.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, obviously, he's been the loyal companion and he really played a pivotal role during that sort of challenging time. But how has his being there really influenced your journey and the person you've become?
Kindness. Like I just saw how that loyalty and the unconditional love affected me, and I decided to put that back into the world. Doesn't matter who I meet. I look at them and treat them with the compassion that I wish I had had from other people. I mean, there was people that gave me compassion. I pushed it away, which is quite normal when you're in that state. They didn't keep trying, though, if that makes sense. Like they didn't have that understanding of, okay, she's not okay, but I need to keep being there anyway. For example, if you ever have someone in your life who's in that mode of trying to push you away, just be there. Don't say anything. Don't ask them to talk. Don't just be. That's all they need, is for someone just to be around so that they understand you do care no matter what you say, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right, because in that scenario, maybe all you just want is for everything to be okay, and the other person's opinion might because they haven't walked in your shoes. They don't know what you're going through, and whatever they say in their space might sound like it's helping, but it definitely might not. So things of that nature. So obviously, while all this was happening, you sought help. Things were sort of maybe tracking back, getting back to normal. You discovered the camera.
I actually had always been into photography. I studied photography at school, and I had a film camera. And I pulled it out from under the bed and just started to take that out walking when I was with Monty, and started to take photos. But the local camera shop in Margaret River actually shut down, and I was like, I couldn't get my films developed anymore. So I thought, well, I need to upgrade. So in order to upgrade, I needed to make a living, or I needed to earn money to pay for the camera. So I bought the camera and then just started to take on little casual jobs, taking photos. I did birthdays and other forms of like pet photography and all sorts of little jobs, which I loved. It was great, but I needed the camera to become a purpose. I needed a reason to get out of bed every day. And it was actually my dad called me one day and he said, oh, I need my Facebook page set up, and I need this for my business, and I need that for my business. And he said, oh, can you help me? And I was like, well, I've got nothing better to do. You know, I'll bring the camera and I'll go and take some photos. And I did that. I literally I didn't know what I was doing. I just took some photos and I started up a Facebook page for his business, and I started posting. And then all of a sudden he's getting calls of people going, who's doing your Facebook and who's doing this? And before I knew it, I had my first 6 clients, all because of what they had seen I was doing for him. So yeah, it was an unexpected pivot in my life. If you had have asked me, 10 years ago, would you ever start a marketing company? I would be like, no, God, no. Why would I do that? But damn, I've done it.
Absolutely. And obviously, there's something about doing something for others, which surprisingly nourishes us as well. Were you going through all of that? Because I viscerally believe if you take a photo of somebody, you're literally freezing a moment, and you are giving them a view of the world that they cannot see until somebody has maybe captured that on their behalf. What was it like when you were going through those motions with people?
To start with, I mean, my dad was easy. My dad doesn't care. He will have photos taken of him all day, but other clients, it was talking them into having their photo taken and getting them to understand why it's important for their business. And I always explain it in a way that, especially now, we're in an age of AI where anything can be faked pretty easily. Like I can go onto ChatGPT right now and have it bang out a pretty awesome photo, but it's pretty... It's not genuine, it's not authentic, and people can tell. So by taking photos of the genuine things that are going on in the business, taking photos of the staff in the business, what they're doing, people using the products that they're selling or the services that they're selling, it creates a authenticity around a business that you can't fake. So it's not about polished photos. We're not glamorous. We're not getting dressed up. We're not getting our makeup done. We're raw. We're real. We're genuine authenticity. And that's what I'm passionate about, is sharing that authenticity for people, to get them to show up for themselves and their business in their true form. I don't wear makeup ever. And people turn up to photo shoots with makeup on. I'm like, you don't need all that. You're so beautiful in your own skin naturally. you don't need to cover up. And it's a mindset that I'm slowly just trying to draw out of people and build their confidence. I've got one client, she'll kill me for saying this, but she actually works for one of my clients, and every time, she's so awkward in photos, but she's a stunning girl. Like, she just is so beautiful that she doesn't understand how beautiful she is. And because she doesn't understand that, she comes across really awkward in every photo. I'm just like, just be natural. Like, imagine I don't have the camera and just stand there and talk to me. And every time I get a like candid shot, I get a really good photo of her. But whenever she's sort of like standing there expecting a photo, she's always like really tense. And so it's about drawing that inner beauty out that they don't see. And quite often I'll show people a photo after I've taken, and they're like, oh wow, that looks really good. And I'm like, so you just got to relax, you just got to be yourself. Like, people are so beautiful, they don't need to do all the, the duck face and oh god, all of that stuff. Anyway,
I don't blame her, Ellie. I actually thought I needed to join the gang because I never know what to do with my hands, especially in photos.
I listened to a podcast recently of a lady. She was talking about body language, and she said the hands are the most important thing. If you're showing your hands when you're talking like you do, she said it's actually a way to comfort people.
Absolutely. All right. So in a scenario where you because we still have mammalian brains, like the brains haven't really evolved, even though we think we have. If you show up with closed fists, then that is a signal that you're holding or concealing a weapon or something that could hurt the other person. But if you're showcasing your hands like this, it tells the other person that everything is A-okay. So you obviously came in, you created CLP Advertising and Photography Services, but you haven't mentioned the marketing background. How did you then manage to piece it all together? Because from what I know is you were doing farm girl stuff and some gas mining somewhere, and marketing would probably have been an ad on TikTok, which I don't think you're on. So where did it all come?
You're right. It was completely left field, pardon the pun. But being ADHD, perpetual learner, like, my brain's always going and I want to always know something, like I want to learn something. So that's exactly what I did. Was I just studied and I did courses. I went back to TAFE. I actually worked alongside some big marketing people in the industry, just learning from them and getting mentors and things like that. I don't even know how I got to this point, if that makes sense. It feels like I've blinked and I'm here. But I know it's been a lot of hard work and very rewarding at the same time.
I can attest to that. That's the field that I'm in as well. And, every second day or every third day, the algorithm is changing and you just have to keep working with that, learn how it all works and things of that nature. But we do thrive and survive in this industry. But I want us to just maybe touch up on something that you've just said. You've been very open about your ADHD diagnosis. How has this sort of insight influenced your work and creativity there?
It's actually been the biggest blessing. In the respect of, a lot of people say, oh, you talk about your ADHD, you use it as an excuse, but I don't use it as an excuse. I use it as a tool and as a reminder to myself that it's okay that I'm forgetful, or that I might be a little burdened, distracted, or that I'm, I I'm a bit scattered at times, but it's okay to be that way. Whereas a lot of my school life and in my young adult life, I thought something was wrong with me because I either couldn't focus or that's all I could do was focus. I went from not being able to focus to hyper focus, and I couldn't understand why some days I could do it and then other days I couldn't. And so that diagnosis opened me up to a world of understanding how I work, how I operate, and how I can use tools and coping mechanisms to take my life to another level. Like, before my diagnosis, I would say my life was down here, but now I'm way up here, but just because I understand how I operate. Anyone that thinks they are struggling cognitively, I would highly recommend to go down the path of understanding what is actually happening so that they can it's not even just for the medication. My goal is to get off the medication. I'm working with a naturopath at the moment to do that, but just to understand how it works so that you can put the mechanisms in to cope with it, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. You see, the thing is, you can't tame it if you can't name it. So many people go through life without actually realizing what they could have been. And, it's most of the time, that's why a lot of people then face burnout, or when they show up in places where they have seemingly climbed to the top of the ladder, they realize that maybe the ladder they were climbing was not on the right building, or they are always facing imposter syndrome, which really is a common hurdle, and it really stops a lot of people as business people or entrepreneurs. Now, speaking of imposter syndrome, I mean, obviously you're navigating all of this coming from where you came into this sort of world. How did you navigate and maybe overcome these sort of internal challenges? Because they would have been there, that you sort of question yourself as you go along, that, whoa, wait a minute, who am I to be road mapping? Oh, is this really me that's doing this now?
Yeah, that has been a journey in itself as well. I definitely suffered from imposter syndrome, and probably the pivotal point for me was actually joining B&I. Being an introvert and a bit not antisocial, but just I didn't enjoy being around lots of people. Joining B&I gave me that mentorship of a bunch of people who I could trust to try new things with, like public speaking and a different type of marketing strategy. Like, I would try it with them rather than try it with clients, things like that. So yeah, I still today suffer with it. And when I first brought on my business coach, he said the first thing he said to me is that your prices are too low. You're undervaluing who you are and what you do. And I explained I don't drink much at the beginning of this session, and I had to get drunk one night and put my prices up on the website. And I messaged him and said, I've done it. I've increased the prices, but I had to get drunk to do it. They still all make a joke about it now, that I had to get drunk to put my prices up. But the repercussions of that weren't there. All my clients were like, yeah, sure, no worries. We get it.
You see, the best thing about putting your prices up is those that really want to work with you are still going to be like, all right, and you start wondering, okay, wait a minute, why were you guys not telling me this before?
Yeah. All that worry for absolutely no reason. Like, I mean, now, I did another price rise for July. I've got another price rise coming, and I haven't even questioned, that first time was just so stressful.
Is
But
it?
now I think, why was I stressed about it? It's so yeah, anyway.
Absolutely. Well, I thought maybe there's going to be yet another party, and I was like, this time invite a few of us.
No,
You know, we can
no.
celebrate and.
No, I did it without any grievances this time.
Great stuff. I mean, some of these things you learn as you go, and once you've gotten past that sort of hurdle, you start thinking to yourself, "Yeah, you're right. Why would I be doing it?" And congratulations. I mean, obviously you've won quite a lot of accolades. I can see the one
Mm.
plaque behind yourself there, and it's all quite commendable. Now, what do these accolades maybe signify to you and your mission?
It's a good question. For me, obviously being a sole trader and on your own in your business, you don't get recognition. And recognition is quite important in the way to know that you're doing the right thing. I'm pretty sure, I mean, you probably won't understand because I've seen a lot of your testimonials, but most people in the marketing industry won't get good testimonials because people don't understand what is happening, what is done. So they find it hard to put into words like, I don't know how to explain it. Like they just don't leave reviews or testimonials. You've really got to encourage them to do it. So the recognition of winning the awards just gave me that confidence to keep pushing, to keep going, to take my business to another level, to hire someone in and say, right, this is your job. And that came off being recommended to read the book, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I read that early this year or late last year, and straight away, as soon as I got to the final page, I jumped online and hired someone. It was exactly what I needed, because I couldn't grow. I got to a point where I was working 17-hour days because I'd grown so quickly after winning the last award, that I started to go backwards because I couldn't keep up with the demand on my own. So bringing someone in to help out was the next step. And then winning the next award after that just took me to a whole new level. Was I brought in some more people to outsource to, and built relationships with other local businesses who are in the same industry, that when I don't have time to do something, I can send work to them or outsource to them or white label, services, things like that. So in the short answer is the awards and the accolades that I have received over the past 12 months have just given me the confidence to keep pushing and growing the business. Before that, I was like, well, why am I doing this? I get results, but I'm not getting any recognition for it, if that makes, not that I need it. It just helps, if that makes sense.
You're absolutely right. You see, the work that we do, some call it SEO or digital marketing or whatever it is. Half of that stuff just stays on the internet. Nobody carries it in their pocket to the pub, and while they're having a sip of their wine or whiskey, hey, look at my SEO. Nobody says that. You see, so it's only the tangible accolades that we then win that then at least validate to us that the work that we do matters. And yeah, I value people that take or have that in their business. At least it's a shorthand to other people to showcase that, look at what I have done and look at what it can do for you. Okay. And with the sort of work that you do, like you're talking about that, obviously gorgeous girl that you're talking about, and yeah, I'm already hung up on that, but hey, that's a story for another day. You're talking about the gorgeous girl that you're talking about, and in the world that we live in, everybody tries to be fake online. Everybody tries to be what they're not, and you did also allude to the fact that AI can make you seem like something that you're not. I've noticed that authenticity is at the corner of your approach. I mean, the first thing I noticed was, Monty, and he's the boss. And I was like, oh, we're not going to do this conversation if Monty's not there, but he was just chilling behind there. Now, how do you ensure genuine connections in a digital landscape that is obviously dominated by curated and doctored content?
For me, it's about being helpful. That's who I am anyway. I'm a natural caregiver. I'm a natural helpful person. I've always volunteered in wherever I can, locally, and charities and things like that. So for me, authenticity is about giving away. And I probably do it a little bit too much, but that's who I am. It's never going to change. So I show up online every day with something helpful that could spark someone in a business going, they could be searching for something, for example, how do I improve my local SEO? I'll show up and it'll give them an article, step-by-step guide on how to do it. I don't want to do it for them. I want them to try it first. And if they don't succeed, then they can call me and I can do it for them. So that is, it's very much like the B&I philosophy, givers gain. I give a lot to the community and people online to help them on their journey. So I think that's kind of how I do it. It's really hard when you're on your own because getting content of me working on a computer is pretty boring. So I do get videos of me out and about working, taking photos with clients and things like that. But they're few and far between. I spend more time on the computer. So yeah, that's how I show up, is just being genuine in giving as much as I can for free, essentially.
Absolutely. And I actually appreciate you, obviously taking the time to share with us like this, because what you're doing is what they call simply educating others. And do you know what that's an acronym for?
No. SEO. I really had to think about that. That almost hurt my brain. That is so good. That really hurt my brain. I was like, hang on.
Fantastic. All right. But at the end of the day, you're not just playing with meta tags and, dicing with pixels and making sure that, they're their HTTPS corresponds with their HTML and things of that nature. You are now sort of venturing into wanting to help people so they maybe never undergo what it is that you went through. Maybe just walk us through what your sort of mindset is around the sort of work that you are looking to start doing for others now.
Yeah, so obviously I'm at a point in my life where I have realised everything I've been through, I don't look at it like it's trauma, or I don't look at it like it's a burden or anything like that. I look at it like it was all a lesson. It was all there to teach me, to bring me to a point where I could use it to help others. And that's exactly what I plan on doing. My goal is to sort of help people make change within their life. So to give a little backstory, over the past 5 years, after my accident, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue and all these other things. It turned out I was ADHD and now more recently perimenopausal. So I was going into this flux in my body where I just my body couldn't cope. anymore. So I started to change my life in a way where I could recover, and I don't have any of the conditions anymore. I obviously still have my ADHD, and I'm on the path of trying to not cure it, but manage it naturally rather than medically. So my goal is to create a life-changing plan for people who are in similar situations where they might have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia or some sort of chronic condition, and they might be a small business owner and struggling to get through their workload, or struggling to make an income, things like that. So my goal is to create a plan or a guide to help people, coach them through changing their life. But my philosophy is that you can change your life with just 5 minutes a day. So spend 5 minutes changing one little thing a day. And at the end of the month, if that thing then becomes permanent, you then move on to the next thing that you want to change. So the way I did it was I started with breakfast. I made sure that I had a really good, healthy, high protein, high fiber breakfast every morning. Now that's just part of what I do. The next thing I did was I added in yoga into my daily practice, and I just did 5 minutes. 5 minutes a day is all I did until it became a regular practice. Now I do 30 minutes a day. Do you know what I mean? And then I added something else in, like building muscle, things like that, and using tools like there's an amazing app for anyone ADHD. I have to mention it. It's called Focus Mate, and it's body doubling online. Have you ever heard of body doubling? No? So body doubling is for ADHDers when somebody is around, something triggers in your mind and you're just able to get through tasks, like you're able to focus better when someone is around. So this app is people from all over the world in the same situation as you with ADHD or some sort of something that's going on where they can't focus, and they're on your computer working while you're working. It's co-working almost. And it just helps you focus. I don't understand how it works, and I'm actually talking to a neuroscientist at the moment. I plan on really diving into it to understand it, but it does actually work. So having tools like that, like sharing tools like that with people that might be struggling to get up to, like, do chores around the house to keep the house tidy every day, or like washing the dishes, just to have someone there on Focus Mate while you wash the dishes so you can get them done, that sort of thing. So it's a bit, obviously it's all thoughts at the moment. There's no structure or plan to it, but it's just stuff that I've sort of been jotting down that I want to create a bit of a guide for people to follow to help them change their lives.
Absolutely. Now, Ellie, you have started photography from scratch and started a digital agency from scratch. All you're doing is utilizing all these skills that you have acquired, obviously, because what you're going to be doing next requires some sort of digital presence, some sort of authenticity to be there for those that you're going to be working with. And I think this will just be the next sort of elevation based on the growth that you are taking yourself. But you mentioned something that I wanted to just maybe lean on a little bit. You said all of this happened not to you but for you. It takes a redemptive amount of growth and healing for somebody to have gone through what you went through and still accept and view it as this was given to you. So now you've got a platform. Because I viscerally believe, had this not happened, one, we might not have had this conversation, and two, you would not have had a good story to tell on the Online Prosperity Show.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that's where my biggest growth has been, was accepting that we're not just people on earth. I'm very spiritual in the respect that I believe there's more after, like more after death and things like that. I never believed that before, actually. This is a new thing for me, probably since COVID. I really sort of started to look into, I always have to, being ADHD, I have to understand everything. Everything has to have a reason. And for me to accept that all this happened to me, I needed to look at it in a way that it happened to me because it was going to get me to where I needed to be. It taught me the lessons that I had to learn in order to create growth in my life. I have something that I mention to people quite regularly about trauma. Everybody's worst day, everybody's trauma is relative to themselves. For example, if your worst day is that you got out of bed and stubbed your toe on the end of the bed, that's your worst day. You know, Becky from the USA may have been held at gunpoint and beaten to within an inch of her life, might have been her worst day. It's still our own worst day, if that makes sense, because your brain has never experienced that kind of fear or trauma or pain any worse than that. So it's still the worst thing that ever happened to you. So it doesn't matter what you've been through. It's still the worst thing that's ever happened to you. So your brain is going to tell you that it is like, it'll be, I don't know how to explain it in a way that, it's gone. Like, I can't.
I like what you're going with them. Maybe you can indulge me for a little bit. So I'm from Zimbabwe in Africa. And when we were growing up, you know, when you get to a certain age, 16 or 15, you're taken in by the village elders, you know, and they proverbially tap you on the shoulder and obviously say, it's your turn to lead. But you sometimes, depending on the culture, you have to do something scary. Sometimes you have to jump into a river that you know there's crocodiles and you have to jump out of it, or some people have to climb big mountains. Some people have to just do something which really widens the envelope and scope of what pain or what life can do for you. Now, I'm going to say this with utmost love and respect. You would have undergone through this particular activity and, you know, experience that you went through. And obviously you came out on the other side like a phoenix that is rising from the ashes. This may have been your own rite of passage, which you underwent. And now you are looking to help others go through their own rite of passage. I don't know how you take that.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that's what it is. And I just want to say I love Zimbabwe, by the way. I enjoyed it while I was there. But yeah, so yeah, it definitely is. I look at it as that, you know. I know my life compared to so many people in the world has been easy. You know, I've got loving parents, as much as, you know, they've got their own challenges and they've caused challenges in my life. I don't hold it against them. I love them with every ounce of my being, for who they are and what they've done for me. I wouldn't have this house without them. They've helped me do a lot of things, helped me get to where I am. But yeah, just look at everything that has happened as a lesson for growth, because I believe that life tests us to push us past where we are. If we don't learn the lessons, we can't sustain growth. You have to make mistakes to learn from them.
Absolutely.
So, you know, life's the same.
Great stuff. Obviously, we believe in life. We're here to live, to learn, and to contribute. And in order for us to live the best life, we need to learn. And it's usually
Yeah.
lessons from other people or the lessons that we encounter ourselves. And once we've learned how to live our best lives, we then send the elevator down, which is what you have done for us here on the Online Prosperity Show. I mean, your life story and your experience have so much value if somebody would take it and maybe insert themselves into that and maybe see what sort of lessons they can derive from that. Now, for those that are watching right now and listening, where can they go to on the internet to maybe continue this journey with you and maybe see if they can join you on your yoga or your walks with Monty, or if that is even part of the picture?
Yeah, so they can obviously follow me on social, CLP Advertising and Photography Services, and I will, once I start the business, I will share everything there as well, or my website, which is clpadvertising.com.au.
Fantastic. But there's something that you forgot to mention, Ellie. When is the book coming out? Because yeah.
Yeah, it's quite funny you say that, because I am writing one. I just am not sure when I'm publishing it.
Oh wow. Anyway,
it's been more of a therapy involvement, the book. So yeah, definitely needs some polish before it gets published.
not a problem. Well, when it does get published, can we be the first platform that you showcase the book on?
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
Now, Ellie, I can't thank you enough for the time that you spent with us on the call today. I mean, obviously, I want to extend this uh thanks to the trust, because obviously we sort of met in a brief encounter with the BNI that you're talking about earlier, and you took that trust to a whole nother level, and we're here now. I'm really excited we got to experience and walk with you in this journey of yours, and I can't wait to see what people will do with this information that you just helped us with today.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Prosper. When I first met you, I just loved your energy. You were just so vibrant, and I'm really trying to surround myself with that kind of people. You don't find many of them around these days.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. You know what they say, it takes one to spot one. So I really appreciate that. Right there. Now, for those that are watching, you can attest that Ellie's journey underscores the transformative power of resilience, authenticity, and community. Now, if her story inspired you, I want you to consider sharing this episode with someone who's maybe navigating their own rite of passage. Because, as Ellie said, each and every one of us is going through what they are going through. And from what I heard from Ellie, we really need to grow through our go through. And as you can see from my hand, no two fingers on the same hand are of the same height. So just in case you might think your journey might not suit the hardship that other people have gone through, share this with someone that might not have told you what they're going through. And if somebody has shared this with you, give them a hug. You never know what they saw, or you never know what they were thinking. And while you're at it, stay tuned for our next episode, where we're going to be exploring innovative ideas to cultivate a happier, more fulfilling existence. And don't forget to subscribe for more insightful content. I will be putting all those links for CLP Advertising and the new venture in the show notes below. But once again, I can't wait to see what you're going to do with this information. Bye for now.